the Devil's Bible. In the silence of a monastery long forgotten by time, there is a story, whispered in shadows, a story so dark that even the faithful trembled to utter it aloud. The tale begins centuries ago, within thick stone walls where the air was heavy with incense and prayer. Among the brothers lived a monk whose name history has all but erased. He was condemned not for sins of flesh alone, but for crimes so grave against his order that the punishment decreed was one of the cruelest known to the cloister. He was to be sealed alive within the monastery walls, entombed in darkness until death took him. Faced with the abyss, the monk made a desperate vow. He promised his brethren and God himself that he would create in a single night a book so vast, so magnificent, that it would glorify the monastery for all eternity. It would contain all the knowledge of mankind, the Word of God, the wisdom of physicians, the order of the stars, and the truth of the soul. Yet even as he swore this, despair gnawed at him, for no mortal hand could achieve such a feat in one lifetime, let alone before the rising sun. As the hours slipped away, candlelight flickering low, the monk's hands trembled over empty parchment. His quill scratched a few desperate lines. Before breaking beneath the enormity of the task, his heart thundered, not with prayer, but with fear. And in that fear, he turned away from heaven. He whispered words forbidden, words that carried beyond the walls of stone, beyond the silence of night. He called upon not God, but the one who waits in shadow. And the shadow answered. It is said the air grew heavy, pressing against his chest, as if the walls themselves sought to crush him. A stench of sulfur filled the room, and the flame of his candle elongated into a twisted black tongue. There, in the corner of his cell, stood a figure vast and dreadful, the devil himself, cloaked in forms the human eye could scarcely endure. The monk, half mad with terror and ecstasy, fell to his knees and begged for salvation from his punishment. He begged for a way to fulfill his vow. The devil agreed. A pact was made. The monk's soul, already hanging by a thread, was bound in ink and flesh. Through the endless hours of that cursed night, the pages filled themselves. The quill scratched, though no hand guided it. Parchment after parchment lay covered in perfect script, drawings, charts, prayers, and invocations, and upon one great sheet, the beast painted his own likeness, a portrait grotesque and leering, stretching across the page with eyes that seemed to watch all who gazed upon them. By dawn, the impossible was complete. A book the size of a man, bound in leather, containing nearly every text known to medieval Europe and beyond, lay before him. It was called by many names in centuries to come, but one endured, Codex Gigas, the Devil's Bible. From that night forward, the Codex was more than a manuscript. It was a living curse. Those who turned its pages swore they felt watched, their thoughts invaded by something alien. Monks whispered that at night the book sighed, as though alive. Some claimed its ink shimmered faintly, as if it bled beneath the parchment. The book bore no marks of age, though centuries passed. It endured fire, war, theft, and exile, always intact. Kings and emperors coveted it. Scholars hungered for it. But others, priests, inquisitors, zealots, feared it deeply. More than once, orders were given to destroy the Codex, and more than once, Those orders met with catastrophe. Fires intended to consume it spread wildly, killing those who set them while leaving the Codex untouched in the ashes. Raiders who sought to seize it disappeared into forests, their corpses later found mutilated or not at all. A bishop once demanded it be burned before the cathedral doors, yet on the eve of its destruction he was struck down by sudden illness, his tongue swelling until it choked him, and so the legend grew. The book defended itself. Whenever danger loomed, the Codex vanished, spirited away by unseen hands, only to reappear years or even centuries later. Always whole, always waiting. Whispers told that those who sought to end its existence cursed not the book, but themselves. Madness, despair, and death clung to such men like vines, and the Codex lived on. But the darker whispers still persisted. For some believed the Codex was not merely a book, but a vessel, a key awaiting its master, not a chosen one of light, but of shadow. The legend spoke of the marked one, a soul branded with the number of the beast, 666. To this one alone, the Codex would unveil its true content, words too vile to be read, knowledge too devastating to be known. And in the hands of this bearer, the Codex would become both most powerful and most vulnerable. For though the Devil's Bible cannot be harmed by fire, blade, or time, there exists a single exception. If the Codex rests in the hands of the marked one, its infernal protections fall away. In that moment it may be destroyed, but only if the marked one perishes with it. Their lives are bound. To kill the one is to kill the other. Such is the paradox of darkness. It must consume itself. And so a prophecy lingers, whispered in cloisters and taverns alike, never written, but passed from lips trembling with fear. When the shadow of the world grows thickest, when mankind teeters on the edge of despair, the marked one shall rise. They will bear the devil's brand and take the Codex into their hands. And in that hour, destruction or damnation hangs by a thread. For God, it is said, will send not a king nor a prophet, but a solitary figure, a redeemer fragile in flesh yet infinite in purpose. As once he sent Christ, so again he shall send hope in human form. And this figure will face the marked one, wielding not sword nor flame, but the light of sacrifice. Only then can the Codex be destroyed, consumed in fire along with the one who bears it. Until that time, the Devil's Bible waits. Some say it lies in the National Library of Sweden, where it resides today, locked behind glass, its pages silent beneath the watchful gaze of tourists. But those who believe the legends know better. They whisper that the book on display is but a shell, a shadow, a forgery too perfect. The real Codex, they say, wanders still, slipping through the cracks of history, vanishing from monasteries, reappearing in castles, hidden beneath the ruins of kingdoms long dead. There are tales dismissed as madness of those who found it. A scholar in Prague who swore he heard whispers as he read, urging him to scrawl in the margins words not his own. He was later found hanged in his study, his face contorted in the rictus of terror. A soldier in the 30 Years' War who claimed the book granted him visions of victory. He led his men into slaughter and vanished amidst the blood and smoke, never to be seen again. A librarian in modern times who spoke of eyes, watching her from the great illustration of the devil within its pages. She was later committed to an asylum, her journals filled with drawings of sixes spiraling endlessly into darkness. Every attempt to destroy it has ended in failure. Some say because the book resists, others say because it chooses. For centuries, men of power and faith have tried, kings with torches, priests with hammers, scholars with fire. Yet the Codex always survives, its pages unburned, its ink unblurred. And those who dared to defy it did not live to try again. Still, a question haunts humanity. Is the Codex waiting to be destroyed or waiting to be fulfilled? If the legends speak true, its final purpose is bound to the marked one. And when that one comes, the book will either unravel the world or be consumed in its own damnation. Perhaps it sleeps even now beneath stone floors where tourists tread, its pages quivering unseen. Perhaps it rests in a collector's vault, hidden among relics of empires past. Or perhaps it is nearer still, waiting in the dark for the one whose hands will carry the mark of the beast. And if that one has already been born, if somewhere a child bears upon their soul the numbers 666, then the end has already begun. The devil's Bible will rise again, and in its shadow the world will learn that salvation and damnation are not opposites, but twins bound by a single fragile thread. When that thread snaps, when the book opens in the hands of its true bearer, the earth will tremble, cities will burn, seas will boil, and heaven itself may fall silent. For in that day, mankind will know that the devil's greatest work was not in fire or war, but in ink and parchment, and the words that should never have been written will at last be read. Until then, the Codex waits, patient, watching, breathing in silence. And when it awakens, the world will not end with a scream, but with the turning of a page